Hi, my name is Nicole Harrington. I'm a clinical psychologist with Berkshire CBT Services, and I've put together some small videos on ways to kind of cope and manage with emotional distress during the severe stress of coronavirus crisis. And in a previous video, I talked a little bit about some suggestions for coping, things like structuring your day, limiting your news consumption, and getting advice from others about how they're coping with things. I want to talk about a few more concrete suggestions. And the first of these is really to sort of think about sleep. And a lot of us are struggling a little bit more with sleep right now. And so I want to give you some ideas of ways that you can kind of probably improve your sleep a little bit even when your mind is racing and even when you are kind of feeling pretty agitated. And the first of these, and I'm going to say it again at the end, is that what we really want to do first is stop worrying about sleep. Which sounds silly, right? Because you can't sleep and all of a sudden our brains take off and we're really worried about sleeping. And so we're going to come back to that at the end because one of the primary strategies for sleeping better is to stop worrying about it so much. I'm going to talk about some of the other ones first though. If you're finding that you're having a little more trouble sleeping right now, some of that can be due to changes in structure and routine. So it's really important, if possible, can you maintain a bedtime and a waking time that are pretty consistent across your week, even though you're home more? Can you have a bedtime routine? We do this for small children, right? It's how we sort of train their brains that it's time to go to sleep. So for kids, it's, jammies and brush your teeth and have a story and then bedtime. Adults benefit from bedtime routines too. These routines ideally mean turn off your electronics earlier if you're having trouble getting to sleep. At least go to blue light filtering in the evening. Avoid alcohol within 2 hours of bedtime. We know that that kind of disturbs people's sleep. Avoid caffeine in the afternoon. These are simple suggestions that generally have been shown to really improve people's sleep, particularly when they're struggling with either falling asleep, early morning wakening, or midnight wakening. This next suggestion on sleep is kind of a harder one to implement, and it works very well. If you can't sleep and you're tossing and turning, we really encourage you to get out of bed and do something quiet and pleasant for a little while, even if it's just 15 or 20 minutes, and then put yourself back to bed again. Again, it's hard to get ourselves to do that, especially when it's cold, but it can actually really help improve your sleep. We encourage you to get exercise and activity during your day, not right before bed, actually. That can interfere with falling asleep. But during the rest of your day, getting outside, getting some movement and fresh air is important. If you're struggling with sleep, we really recommend you avoid napping. And that's hard. You're tired, and sometimes you're bored, and you want to take a nap. You can do that, but you need to know then you've sort of cut off part of your nighttime need for sleep, right? So if you're struggling with having a good night's sleep, napping may not be so helpful. And this decatastrophizing not sleeping, that's where I started. Very few of us have the bad outcomes from not sleeping that we think we're going to. So when we can't fall asleep, we think, oh my gosh, I can't sleep, I'm gonna be a mess tomorrow, I'm not gonna be able to function, everything's gonna fall apart. Really, the risk of not sleeping is that you're gonna be tired and maybe cranky. Most of us don't get up first thing in the morning and do surgery. A few people do, but most of us don't. And so the impact of not sleeping isn't nearly as disastrous as we kind of make it be in our brain. So those are some suggestions about ways to pay attention to sleep when you're feeling a little more agitated in the world right now. The second set of suggestions I have are really around alcohol consumption and substance use. And we know that some people need to and do avoid alcohol and other substances completely. And then lots of the rest of us drink moderately or smoke marijuana and have been doing so for a long time. And I'm not going to take that on as an issue right now. What I do want to do is sort of bring your attention that we want to do these things much more mindfully right now. We know that consumption of alcohol, marijuana, substances increases when we're lonely, when we're stressed, when we're tired, when we're bored. And so it's easy to fall into drinking a little more than you used to, drinking a little earlier in the day than you used to. If you look on Facebook, you'll see lots of jokes about how much we're all going to drink right now. And so I want to encourage you to pay attention to that so that you're not slowly falling into engaging in this more than you meant to. Some ways to do that are, can you make rules for yourself? I only do these things at certain times or on certain days and in certain amounts. I'm going to engage in activities first. I'm going to mark the bottle so I know how much I'm drinking. Again, this isn't sort of a substance abuse intervention so much as a kind of an encouragement for all of us to be really mindful about how our behaviors start to change when we're more isolated and more stressed. And the last suggestion I have is to really work hard to broaden your perspective. We know that extreme stress very predictably narrows our focus, right? We all sort of turn inward. We become much more self-focused. And in some ways, evolutionarily, that's been protective, but in this moment, it's probably not helpful to us. So I want to encourage you to make really conscious choices to find ways to turn your perspective outward. Sometimes that's through reaching out to others or helping others, which helps them, but also gets us out of our own heads, truthfully. So that can be of real benefit. You know, when you are out walking, obviously we can't walk up and hug other people, but if you see someone walking, especially someone by themselves, can you say hello and ask how they're doing? Can we sort of connect more with others in ways we don't usually? You know, are there neighbors or elders or people that you aren't in as much contact, but you could be, who might really find benefit over that? Is there, you know, a child in your family that you might read to over the phone, give their parent a break? How can we sort of broaden our perspective, broaden our world in a way that gives us something as well? That can be a really positive and helpful way of coping. Again, my name is Nicole Harrington. I hope you find this helpful and take good care of yourself.